What if I told you that a simple trip and fall, the kind that might have left you with a bruise at age 40, could now carry a risk of death as high as 1 in 3 within a single year? It sounds unbelievable, but for seniors who suffer a hip fracture, that is the terrifying reality. According to multiple studies, up to 33% of older adults who break a hip will not survive the next 12 months. This isn't just a statistic. It's a silent epidemic happening in homes all across America. And the two hidden culprits behind this crisis are a pair of thieves that work in the shadows, stealing your strength and stability, one day at a time. The first is osteoporosis, a disease that makes your bones weak and brittle. The second is its lesser-known but equally dangerous partner, sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. Together, they create a devastating 1-2 punch. Sarcopenia makes you unsteady on your feet, dramatically increasing your risk of falling. Osteoporosis ensures that when you do fall, your bones don't just bruise, they shatter. This is the downward spiral that robs so many of their independence. But what if the food you've been told is healthy, the very meat you put on your plate for strength, could be secretly accelerating this process? The hard truth is, the rules of nutrition change dramatically after age 60. Your body's metabolism slows down, your ability to process certain nutrients diminishes, and your sensitivity to inflammation skyrockets. A meal that was harmless at 35 can become a metabolic concern at 65. The very proteins you eat to build your body can, if you choose the wrong ones, begin to tear it down from the inside out. In this video, we're going to expose the truth. We will reveal the 4 worst meats that are silently weakening your bones and setting you up for a catastrophic fall. But we will not leave you in fear. We will then empower you with the 4 best meats, backed by solid research that can help you fight back, rebuild lean muscle, and fortify your body's framework for the years to come. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about giving you the critical knowledge you need to protect your future, your mobility, and your independence. A quick note. This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your doctor before making changes to your health regimen. Now, what you're about to learn could be the most important nutritional information you hear this year. And I promise you, the number 1 best meat on our list contains a little-known nutrient that acts like a traffic cop for calcium in your body, intelligently directing it into your bones where it belongs and keeping it out of your arteries where it can cause harm. You will not want to miss this. Before we dive into the danger list, what's the one meat you find yourself eating most often? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and your answer might surprise you by the end of this video. Let's begin with the countdown of the 4 worst meats for your bones and muscles after 60, starting with number 4. This one is a staple in the American diet, often seen as a symbol of a hearty, traditional meal. Worst meat number 4 is high-fat, commercially raised red meat. This includes those marbled steaks, fatty cuts of pork, and conventional ground beef that sizzles so appealingly on the stove. For decades, we've associated a good steak with strength and vitality. It's a quick, easy source of protein and iron. It feels substantial, satisfying. But after 60, these very qualities can turn against you due to a hidden danger: chronic, low-grade inflammation. Here's the why after 60 factor. An aging body is like a finely tuned engine that has become more sensitive over time. The high concentration of saturated fats found in commercial red meat acts like low-grade fuel, causing the engine to run rough. A 2006 study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that a single meal high in saturated fat can actually impair the anti-inflammatory properties of your HDL, your so-called good cholesterol, and harm the function of your arteries. It essentially handcuffs your body's own defense systems. The mechanism of damage is clear. These saturated fats can trigger your immune cells, specifically your macrophages, to short-circuit and produce an inappropriate inflammatory response. Research has shown that diets high in saturated fat lead to a significant increase in inflammatory markers circulating in your blood, like TNF-alpha, IL-1 beta, and IL-6. This isn't just a temporary issue. For a senior, this creates a state of constant simmering inflammation, a condition scientists call inflammaging. This systemic inflammation is a direct threat to your structural integrity. It disrupts the delicate balance of bone remodeling, encouraging the cells that break down bone, called osteoclasts, while suppressing the cells that build new bone, called osteoblasts. At the same time, this inflammatory storm accelerates the breakdown of muscle tissue, feeding the progression of sarcopenia. Think of George, a 75-year-old from Ohio. He loved his nightly steak, believing it was keeping him strong. But he couldn't understand why his joints ached constantly and why he felt weaker each year, despite eating plenty of protein. His diet, rich in inflammatory saturated fats, was fueling the very fire that was consuming his muscle and bone from within. The better swap is simple but powerful. When you do eat red meat, make it a strategic choice, not a daily habit. Opt for leader cuts like sirloin, tenderloin, or 90. Even better, as we'll discuss later, is choosing grass-fed beef, which has a more favorable fatty acid profile. The bottom line is this: that marbled steak isn't just a high-calorie meal, it's a potential dose of inflammation that your aging body simply can't afford. Treating it as a rare indulgence rather than a daily staple is a critical step in protecting your bones and muscles. Moving on to number 3 on our list of worst meats. This category lurks in almost every refrigerator in America, disguised as a quick and convenient lunch or breakfast. Worst meat number 3 is deli and cured meats. This includes your sliced ham, turkey, and bologna for sandwiches, as well as bacon, prosciutto, and salami. The setup is convenience. What could be easier than slapping a few slices of turkey between bread for a quick lunch? It seems like a lean source of protein. Bacon for breakfast is a cherished tradition, but this convenience comes at a steep, hidden cost to your skeleton, primarily through a mechanism I call calcium theft. The agitation, the why after 60 factor, is sodium. These products are loaded with it to preserve them and enhance flavor. While your body needs some sodium, the massive amounts found in processed meats are a direct threat to your bones. An aging kidney is often less efficient at filtering excess sodium. This forces your body into a state of emergency to get rid of it, and your bones pay the price. The mechanism of damage is a direct chemical exchange. Numerous studies have confirmed that high sodium intake leads to a significant increase in the amount of calcium your body excretes through urine. For every 2,300 milligrams of sodium you excrete, you can lose about 44 milligrams of calcium. It might not sound like much, but when you're eating a deli sandwich every day, it adds up to a constant, relentless drain on your body's calcium reserves. Your body is smart. It needs to maintain a stable level of calcium in the blood for your heart and nerves to function. So when it senses this urinary loss, where does it get more calcium? It makes a withdrawal from the only bank it has, your skeleton. A 2024 study published in a journal from the Public Library of Science found that among postmenopausal women, excess salt intake was associated with the highest odds of having osteoporosis. Consider Linda, a 68-year-old widow from Florida. She relied on prepackaged deli ham for her daily lunch because it was easy. She was diligent about taking her calcium supplement, but her bone density scans kept getting worse. Her doctor was puzzled until a dietary review revealed her massive sodium intake, Her convenient lunch was effectively canceling out her calcium supplement, stealing the mineral from her bones before her body could use it. The better swap is to prepare your own sandwich fillings. Roast a whole chicken or a turkey breast at the beginning of the week. It takes a little more effort, but you control the sodium, and the meat is far higher quality. For a quick breakfast, swap the bacon for a couple of eggs. The bottom line is this: deli and cured meats are not your friends. They are silent thieves, using sodium as their weapon to rob your bones of their essential strength, one convenient meal at a time. Now for number 2, and this one is a serious metabolic offender. It takes the problems of our previous 2 entries and combines them into something far worse. Worst meat number 2 is heavily processed meat products like hot dogs, sausages, and bratwurst. These items are mainstays at barbecues and sporting events, often seen as a fun, harmless treat. But from a biological standpoint, especially for a senior, they are a metabolic nightmare. The why after 60 factor is that these aren't just meat. They are what scientists call ultra-processed foods, or UPFs. An aging body is already dealing with challenges like insulin resistance and a decreased ability to handle metabolic stress. UPFs pour gasoline on that fire. They are engineered to be hyperpalatable, but they are nutritionally bankrupt and filled with compounds that actively harm an older body. The mechanism of damage is a synergistic attack. First, they contain the inflammatory saturated fats we discussed with high-fat red meat. Second, they are packed with the same bone-leaching sodium found in deli meats. But they don't stop there. They add a cocktail of preservatives, fillers, and often refined sugars and carbohydrates that are hallmarks of UPFs. This combination launches a multi-pronged assault on your health. A landmark 2024 scoping review compiled the data from 19 different studies and came to a chilling conclusion. Higher consumption of ultra-processed foods was directly linked to lower bone mineral density, an increased risk of full-blown osteoporosis, and a greater prevalence of osteopenia, the precursor to osteoporosis, especially in postmenopausal women. Furthermore, a study following older adults found that higher intake of processed meat was associated with a greater risk of impaired agility and poor lower extremity function. In other words, it makes you weaker and less stable. Let's not forget, the World Health Organization classifies these products as Group 1 carcinogens, meaning there is strong evidence they can cause colorectal cancer. Think of Robert, a 72-year-old grandfather from Texas who loved grilling sausages for his family. He thought he was just enjoying a classic American meal, but he was experiencing more falls and struggling to get up from his chair. His diet, rich in these ultra-processed products, was contributing to both weak bones and weak muscles, a perfect storm for a life-altering fracture. The better swap is to choose unprocessed meats. If you're at a barbecue, opt for a lean hamburger patty or a simple grilled chicken breast instead of a hot dog or sausage. The bottom line is that these products are not food in the truest sense. They are industrially formulated concoctions designed for shelf life and profit, not for your health. For a senior, they represent a concentrated dose of everything that weakens your body's foundation. They should be strongly avoided. And now, we arrive at the number 1 worst meat for your bones and muscles. This one is insidious because it's not about the type of meat, but how you cook it. It can turn even the healthiest cut of meat into a weapon against your own skeleton. The number 1 worst meat is any meat that is charred, blackened, or overcooked at high temperatures. We're talking about that crispy, blackened crust on a grilled steak, the burnt ends of a barbecue brisket, or even a well-done burger. For many, that char is the best part. It's where the flavor is. But for your bones, it represents a profound and silent danger. The why after 60 factor is a direct attack on your bone's internal structure. As we age, our bodies are less able to repair cellular damage. The compounds formed during high heat cooking introduce a level of damage that can overwhelm these aging repair systems, leading to a fundamental weakening of your bone quality that a standard bone density scan might not even detect. The mechanism of damage is the formation of harmful compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. AGEs form when sugars react with proteins or fats at high temperatures. Exactly what happens when you char a piece of meat on a hot grill. These AGEs are absorbed into your body and accumulate in your tissues over time, especially in tissues with slow turnover rates, like the collagen in your bones. Once there, they act like molecular glue, forming abnormal, rigid crosslinks between the flexible collagen fibers that make up your bone's protein matrix. Imagine your bone is like reinforced concrete. The minerals, like calcium, are the concrete, but the collagen is the flexible steel rebar that runs through it, giving it resilience and the ability to withstand stress. Osteoporosis is like losing the concrete, but AGEs cause the rebar to rust. They make your bone collagen stiff, brittle, and weak from the inside out. This is why scientists now consider AGEs the missing link in explaining skeletal fragility, especially in cases where bone density alone doesn't tell the whole story. This explains the shocking fact that most fragility fractures actually occur in people who do not have a formal diagnosis of osteoporosis. Their concrete might look okay on a scan, but their internal rebar is rusted and brittle. On top of AGEs, high heat cooking also creates other carcinogens known as heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, which are linked to an increased risk of several cancers. The better swap is to change your cooking methods. Choose lower, slower cooking techniques like braising, stewing, poaching, or using a slow cooker. If you do grill, cook at lower temperatures, avoid direct contact with the flame, flip the meat frequently, and trim off any blackened portions before eating. Marinating meat in an acidic base like lemon juice or vinegar for at least 30 minutes can also reduce the formation of these harmful compounds. The bottom line is this: that flavorful char is the visual evidence of a chemical reaction that creates compounds that make your bones fundamentally more fragile. It is the #1 way to turn a healthy piece of protein into a direct threat to your skeletal integrity. Okay, we've just gone through some serious and frankly unsettling information. We've talked about inflammation, calcium theft, metabolic bombs, and the internal rusting of your bones. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or even scared, but I want you to take a deep breath. Because knowledge is not meant to create fear, it's meant to create power, the power to choose. Recognizing the dangers is the first and most critical step. You now understand that high-fat commercial meats can fuel inflammation, that deli meats can steal your bones' calcium, that processed sausages are a metabolic assault, and that charred meat can make your bones' very structure brittle. But the story does not end here. The human body is resilient. It wants to heal. And by making intelligent, strategic choices with the foods you eat, you can provide it with the exact tools it needs to fight back, to rebuild, and to reclaim its strength. The second half of this video is all about hope, empowerment, and actionable solutions. We're about to pivot from the problem to the powerful solutions. But first, let's address a huge and dangerously persistent myth that holds many seniors back from building the strong body they deserve. It's a piece of advice you may have heard from a well-meaning friend or even seen in older health articles. The myth that as you get older, you should eat a low-protein diet to protect your kidneys. This idea is not only outdated for most healthy seniors, it is actively harmful and a direct contributor to the crisis of sarcopenia and frailty. The truth is, for the vast majority of older adults without pre-existing severe kidney disease, your protein needs do not go down, they go up significantly. Research from the National Resource Center on Nutrition and Aging and numerous other studies now recommends that older adults consume 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight each day. That is 25 to 50% more than the standard recommendation of 0.8 grams per kilogram for younger adults. For a 150-pound person, that's a jump from 54 grams to between 68 and 82 grams of protein daily. Why the increase? It's to combat a condition called anabolic resistance. As you age, your muscles become less responsive to the protein you eat. It's like the ignition on your car has gotten weaker. You need to turn the key a little harder and a little longer to get the engine to start. You need more protein per meal, ideally 25 to 30 grams, to flip the switch that triggers muscle protein synthesis. The fear of kidney damage comes from a misunderstanding. A very low-protein diet is a specific medical therapy for people with diagnosed advanced chronic kidney disease to reduce the load on their failing kidneys. Applying this advice to a healthy senior is like putting a cast on a healthy arm. It doesn't help. It causes atrophy. In fact, one study of older adults found that those in the highest quintile of protein intake lost nearly 40% less muscle mass over 3 years than those eating the least. So let's be clear. Unless your doctor has specifically put you on a protein-restricted diet for a kidney condition, starving your body of the protein it desperately needs to maintain muscle is a recipe for weakness, falls, and loss of independence. Now, let's get to the good news. Let's build your body back up. We're going to count down the 4 best meats for rebuilding muscle and supporting your bones. And we start with one that might surprise you. Best meat number 4 is lean red meat in moderation. Yes, after placing high-fat red meat on our worst list, we're putting its leaner cousin on the best list. This isn't a contradiction. It's a critical distinction that highlights the power of making intelligent choices. The mechanism of healing is direct muscle fuel. A review of studies on sarcopenia published in the journal Nutrition Hospitalaria found that a 113-gram serving of lean beef, that's about 4 ounces, can increase muscle protein synthesis by approximately 50% in both young and older volunteers. The high-quality protein in lean red meat provides all the essential amino acids your body needs to repair and build muscle tissue, especially when paired with exercise. The evidence is compelling. A randomized controlled trial in women over 60 found that combining progressive resistance training with a diet that included lean red meat was safe and effective for enhancing lean tissue mass and muscle strength. It works by providing the fundamental building blocks your muscles are crying out for. Consider Mary, a 68-year-old from Florida who had been avoiding all red meat out of fear. She was feeling perpetually tired and weak. Her doctor discovered she was borderline anemic. After incorporating 2 4-ounce servings of lean sirloin into her week, she was amazed. Her energy levels returned, the weakness subsided, and she felt more confident and stable on her feet. The practical integration is simple. Think of lean red meat as a powerful supplement, not a daily staple. Aim for 1 to 2 servings per week, keeping portions to about the size of a deck of cards. Choose cuts with loin or round in the name, like sirloin or tenderloin, and trim any visible fat before cooking using gentle methods like braising or slow cooking. This strategic approach allows you to reap the benefits of its incredible nutrient density while minimizing the risks associated with its higher fat counterparts. Coming in at number 3 is a reliable, affordable, and incredibly effective tool for fighting sarcopenia. Best meat number 3 is skinless poultry, specifically chicken and turkey breast. While it may seem like a basic choice, its power lies in its unique composition and its direct effect on your muscle-building machinery. The introduction to poultry is its role as a leucine powerhouse. Leucine is one of 9 essential amino acids, but it's special. It acts as the primary trigger, the ignition key, for muscle protein synthesis. As we discussed, older adults suffer from anabolic resistance, meaning they need a higher dose of leucine at each meal to kickstart that muscle-building engine. Simply eating a little protein here and there won't do it. You need to hit a specific leucine threshold, and chicken breast is one of the most efficient ways to get there. A single 100-gram serving, about 3.5 ounces, of chicken breast contains a potent 2.5 grams of leucine. The mechanism of healing is all about overcoming that anabolic resistance. When you consume a meal rich in leucine, it signals a key pathway in your cells known as mTOR. Think of mTOR as the foreman on a construction site. Leucine's signal tells the mTOR foreman to get the crew working, initiating the process of repairing damaged muscle fibers and building new ones. A 2012 study published in Clinical Nutrition found that supplementing the meals of older adults with leucine for just 2 weeks significantly improved their muscle protein synthesis, both at rest and after a meal. The evidence for poultry is mounting. A brand new 2024 study investigated the effects of combining resistance training with steamed chicken breast intake in elderly women. The results were remarkable. The group that ate chicken and exercised saw significant improvements in muscle mass, muscle strength, and even muscle quality compared to groups that didn't. Consider David, a 70-year-old retired teacher who is losing strength in his legs. He started a simple home exercise routine, but wasn't seeing much progress. His daughter, a nutritionist, suggested he make sure to eat a grilled chicken breast for lunch within an hour after his workouts. The change was dramatic. He felt his strength returning, and within a few months, he could climb the stairs without holding the railing. He had given his body the ignition key it needed, at the exact time it was ready to build. The practical integration is to make lean poultry a cornerstone of your meals, especially on days you are active. A 4 to 6 ounce portion of chicken or turkey breast will easily provide the 25 to 30 grams of protein and the critical dose of leucine needed to maximize muscle synthesis. It's versatile, easy to digest, and a proven ally in your fight for strength and independence. Our number 2 best meat is a true double-duty champion. It simultaneously fights the forces tearing your body down while providing a critical nutrient needed to build it back up. Best meat number 2 is wild-caught fatty fish, especially salmon. This isn't just a healthy protein source, it's a potent anti-inflammatory and bone-supporting superfood. The introduction to salmon is its dual-action role as both a firefighter and a master builder. The modern Western diet is often overloaded with inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. Salmon provides a massive dose of anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, acting like a fire hose to quench the chronic inflammation that damages your joints, muscles, and bones. At the same time, it delivers a key nutrient that is absolutely essential for bone construction. The mechanism of healing is twofold. First, the omega-3s, EPA and DHA, work to reduce the production of inflammatory compounds in your body. They directly combat inflammaging, the low-grade inflammation that contributes to sarcopenia and osteoporosis. A comprehensive meta-analysis found that omega-3 supplementation significantly reduced levels of key inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein and TNF-alpha in older adults. Second, salmon is one of the very best natural food sources of vitamin D. Vitamin D is non-negotiable for bone health. Its primary role is to facilitate the absorption of calcium from your gut into your bloodstream. Without enough vitamin D, you could be consuming plenty of calcium, but your body simply can't use it to build bone. It's important to note that wild-caught salmon contains significantly more vitamin D than farm salmon. A 100-gram serving of wild salmon can provide nearly 1,000 IU, surpassing the daily recommended intake, while the same amount of farmed salmon may only have around 500 IU. Consider Margaret, a 77-year-old with painful osteoarthritis in her knees. The constant pain made her fearful of walking, and her inactivity was causing her muscles to weaken. She started incorporating wild-caught salmon into her diet 3 times a week. Over several months, she noticed a significant reduction in her joint pain and stiffness. This allowed her to start walking again, rebuilding her leg strength and confidence. The combination of fighting inflammation and supporting her bones made a world of difference. The practical integration is to aim for 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, or sardines each week. A serving is about 4 ounces. Baking, broiling, or poaching are excellent cooking methods that preserve its delicate fats and don't create the harmful compounds we discussed earlier. Choosing wild-caught whenever possible will maximize your intake of both omega-3s and vitamin D, making it a powerful investment in your long-term mobility and comfort. We have finally arrived at the #1 best meat for rebuilding muscle and fortifying your bones. This choice is about maximum nutrient density and providing your body with a crucial, often overlooked nutrient that unlocks the full potential of your bone-building efforts. The #1 best choice is a strategic combination: grass-fed beef and, for the adventurous, beef liver. Let's start with grass-fed beef. Compared to its grain-fed counterpart, grass-fed beef is nutritionally superior for an aging body. It boasts a much healthier ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, making it far less inflammatory. It's also richer in conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, which has anti-inflammatory properties, and contains higher levels of precursors for vital antioxidants like vitamin A and E. But the real superstar, the secret weapon for your skeleton, is beef liver. And this is where we deliver on the promise I made at the beginning of this video. The mechanism of healing from beef liver comes down to one critical nutrient: vitamin K2. You've been told your whole life to get enough calcium and vitamin D for your bones. But here's the missing piece of the puzzle. Without enough vitamin K2, those nutrients can't do their job properly. Vitamin K2 acts as the calcium traffic cop. It activates a protein called osteocalcin, whose job is to bind calcium and deposit it onto your bone matrix. It also activates another protein that prevents calcium from being deposited in your arteries and soft tissues, where it can lead to dangerous calcification and heart disease. So, vitamin K2 intelligently directs calcium to where you need it, your skeleton, and keeps it away from where you don't. Beef liver is one of the most concentrated food sources of this vital nutrient, along with other powerhouses like choline for brain health and the most bioavailable form of vitamin A, retinol. Now, a critical word of caution is necessary here. Because beef liver is so incredibly rich in preformed vitamin A, you must not overdo it. The UK's National Health Service and other health bodies advise that people at risk for osteoporosis should limit liver consumption to no more than 1 serving per week. This avoids an excess of vitamin A, which can paradoxically be harmful to bones in very high amounts. This is the definition of a strategic, powerful food. Consider Eleanor, an 80-year-old who is doing everything right, taking calcium and vitamin D, walking daily, but her bone scans were still declining. After learning about vitamin K2, she started incorporating a small 3-ounce serving of pan-fried beef liver into her diet once a week. At her next checkup, her doctor was stunned. For the first time in years, her rate of bone loss had stabilized. She had finally provided her body with the missing traffic cop it needed. The practical integration is to treat these as the nutrient-dense powerhouses they are. Enjoy a 4 to 6 ounce serving of grass-fed beef a couple of times a week. And if you're willing, add 1 small serving of beef liver per week. If the taste is a challenge, you can chop it finely and mix it into ground beef for meatballs or meatloaf, or look into high-quality desiccated liver capsules. This strategic approach provides an unparalleled spectrum of nutrients to build strong muscle and, most importantly, smart bones. Today, we've journeyed through the complex world of meat and its impact on your body after the age of 60. The core message is not that meat is good or bad. The message is that you have the power to be intelligent and strategic in your choices. You can choose to avoid the meats that fuel inflammation, steal minerals, and weaken your body's very framework. Or you can choose the meats that fight inflammation, deliver critical muscle-building amino acids, and provide the smart nutrients that build resilient, intelligent bones. This isn't about luck, it's about knowledge. Aging with strength, vitality, and independence is a direct result of the daily decisions you make. You are in the driver's seat. The choice is yours. Do one thing today. Look in your refrigerator and identify one of the worst items we discussed. Then, make a plan to replace it with one of the powerful best options this week. That single, simple swap is a profound statement that you are taking control of your health. Now I want to hear from you. Which of the meats on our lists surprised you the most today? Was it the hidden danger in charred food, or the surprising power of beef liver? Let me know in the comments section below. Your insights help our entire community learn and grow stronger together. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future deep dives into senior health. Stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.